Hi, everybody. First of all, I'd like to apologize for not being able to join you today. I have a major sporting event that I'm involved in, not pickleball, unfortunately, but shooting, clay pigeon shooting, that I enjoy just as much. So, unfortunately, there was a clash. Just by way of background, I have been involved in sports administration for many years at all levels, club, national, international level, in South Africa, in the United States, and in England, where I'm currently still involved. So let's have a bit of a look at setting up a national sports structure. First of all, an important point is the nature of a formal structure varies from country to country. They're called different things, they serve different purposes. So you will need to familiarize yourself and do the necessary research in your own countries. I cannot speak for all of the countries. And the structures can vary from a company or corporation, a charity, an association, a federation, all sorts of different names. Now, which structure you actually choose or you go for depends largely on the objectives that you want to achieve. For example, if you're setting up a business and you want to run your organization as a business, then obviously you would need shareholders, you would need to register a company or corporation or a partnership, and that will serve that purpose. If, on the other hand, the objective is an association for the sole benefit of members with no profit accruing to anyone, then a not-for-profit type of structure is required. The overriding principle applicable to all of these structures where other people's money and other people are involved is of transparency and of good governance. Let's try and explain why that is important. So I'm going to start at the simplest level. Let's say we have a group of 6 to 8 friends who decide to play pickleball on a weekly basis. Well, they kind of agree informally who coordinates the group, who collects the money, how much each member pays, and who schedules the pairings and so on. So there's a few basic rules and a common understanding. Nothing is usually in writing, but the importance of that is if I know that the court hire fee is, say, $10, and there's 5 of us, so if the coordinator charges me $2 or $2.50, I'm comfortable with that. If you were to say to me, look, Frank, it's $15 a time to play, and I know that he doesn't have any other expenses, I wouldn't be quite so comfortable. So there's basic rules and there's a basic understanding. If we take it one step upwards, the next step from a casual group would be a formal club. Then things need to get a little bit more organized. You got more people, you end up with a committee, a group doing the organizing, because one person usually can't handle it on their own. So then you need a constitution, which is basically a set of rules. Again, this has different names in different countries. There's bylaws or articles or constitution or objectives in some cases. And you need some sort of communication process with your members to schedule or schedule, depending which language I'm saying it in, sessions to communicate news to members, to tell them about social events, and so on and so on. So, and also importantly, probably an AGM to report back. How was my membership fee spent? Have the committee been having parties once a week and entertaining themselves and flying around the world to play pickleball? So again, transparency and governance. the further up we go and the bigger we get, the more the importance and the emphasis is on those two things of governance and transparency. So if we look at an association, it'll usually be a legal entity. It'll usually have a website with directors or trustees. It will usually have some processes in place, procedures, and finances. Let's have a look and see, why are these important? The reason why transparency and good governance are important is that there are usually several stakeholders involved in interacting with these larger organizations. So you have members, you have the directors, you have potential investors or donors or sponsors, and you have other sporting bodies. So all of this interaction needs to have some sort of guidelines and rules by which to play the game, basically. So let's have a look from a member's perspective. If I'm going to contribute to an organization, I would want to know, how is it going to benefit me? How is it going to benefit the sport? How will it benefit other members? What are its objectives? What is it trying to achieve? How does it communicate strategy, news, financial position to its members? Secondly, very important, how is the organization managed? Is there a democratically appointed board? No use just having jobs for pals and, oh, I like so-and-so, so I'll invite them, onto the board. That doesn't make one feel particularly comfortable. So another question would be, what is the process for electing the leaders and the organization and committees? What is their maximum term? What is the size of the board? Is the whole organization controlled by one person in terms of the legalities and the bylaws and constitution? Or is there another organization that has an influence over it? What are the policies and processes of this organization? And the third bit, also very important, is the proper financial management and control. I want to know, how are my subs spent? Are they spent, for the benefit of members in terms of facilities, balls, courts, nets, and so on? And the way that I have visibility and transparency into this is through the annual audit and the publication of annual accounts. I also would like to see, what are the details of remunerations of directors? Are they getting paid? Are they profiting out of the membership? If they have legitimate reimbursement of expenses, I have no problem. But if they starting to make money out of this, then you question, why are they doing it, and why am I paying and contributing for someone else to make money? And the other aspect would be the details from a financial point of view, would be the details of income sources. How much comes from membership? How much comes from donations? How much comes from public funding? So if we look at the other stakeholders in terms of transparency and good governance, so we've spoken about members. If we think of the directors, they also would need to know, what are their responsibilities? What is their liability? All of that is governed usually by the articles or bylaws or constitution. So again, before becoming a director, one would want to look at those documents, review them, and see, what are my rights? What are my duties? What is my remuneration or reimbursement? What is the length of my term? How do I get appointed? How do I resign? How do, is it just at the whim of one or two people, or is it democratically and properly done? The other important aspect for sporting organizations, obviously, is potential investors and donors. They would want the assurance that the organization is well managed, this visibility and basically want to know also who controls the organization, where does the money go to. I wouldn't be keen to sponsor, for example, an organization that I can see that the shareholders are getting a huge benefit out of it. If I know that my sponsorship or my donation goes towards growing pickleball and growing the association, that's one thing. If I can see that a single individual or a bunch of shareholders are benefiting, then I might think slightly differently. And the fourth stakeholder usually are basically, or are other sporting bodies. So if one wants to participate in international associations or the Olympics or things like that, one needs to demonstrate transparency and good governance in terms of documentation, in terms of bylaws, in terms of feedback and newsletters, annual general meeting, financial reports. So just to summarize, there's really no right or wrong format of organization, but rather a fit for purpose, tailored approach. So it depends what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're trying to achieve. To summarize, a group of friends, basically a simple discussion and a common understanding of how the funds are spent and how sessions are organized is sufficient. For a club, it's a bit more formal. If it's a business, there's statutory rules governing that and governing transparency and documents that have to be published and audit provisions and so on. And if it's an association aiming basically wide member appeal and international sports body affiliation and public funding, then it is absolutely imperative to have full transparency and good governance. Otherwise, it just won't work. And the likelihood is that to be associated internationally, it's a not-for-profit organization. Now, how to finish off, I would like to just mention is the fact that how would one go about it? What is the shortest route to, or route for our American friends? What is the shortest route to getting this off the ground and getting the transparency in the government? Well, for me, there are so many organizations that are affiliated internationally, that are part of the Olympic movement and so on. The best way is to have a look at their template and their documentation on their websites and adapt that to your own circumstances. So there's no point in reinventing the wheel. The information is all out there, and if their information is acceptable to the Olympic committees and to international bodies, there's no reason why yours won't be. I hope this has been helpful in explaining quite a dry topic. But if you do have any questions and if I can help, please email me at frank@pickleballengland.org, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. I hope you enjoy the rest of the seminar and hope to see you in person soon. Take care.